unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Raw and Unscripted with yours truly, Christopher Rausch, the place where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. And today's episode is very timely considering that we just had the Super Bowl here in the United States, of course, and I hope you got a chance to tune into it, watch a great game, watch some cool cartoons. But most importantly, the reason of this particular podcast episode is to talk about how we are so easily offended these days about every fucking thing that pops up in front of us. Yes. So obviously you're watching the Raw and Unscripted show with me, Christopher Rausch, and I know that you, the viewer, are not one to get easily offended. So thank you very much for being here. I love you. Part of the Kick-Ass Nation, Misfits for Life, hashtag. Anyways, so let's get right into it, right? It's something I've been meaning to talk about for a little bit because it is something that's been prevalent in the United States and around the world for some time now. And that is being offended, right? You know, when you think back about all the different topics and things that people get offended from, it just really fucking blows my mind. I mean, on the short list, people get offended of breastfeeding in public. People are offended by what they see and what they hear on television and the radio. And people are offended by, you know, the president. People are offended by whatever it might be. But what is this doing to our country? You know, everybody's got a voice, everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got a platform now with social media where they can go on and they can spout how much I don't like this and how much this offends me. But what is being offended really about, right? For me, being offended is something that is a personal insult to you. And I can't remember what the exact definition of it in the dictionary is. But to me, if I offend you or if I get offended, I think about it in the personal aspect of it. When I'm offended, it comes across to me at least like a personal attack. Like somebody sits there and says, you know, people, and I had somebody tell me this, people who use vulgar language or swear are not intellectual people. Now that is a statement, right? And it's a preference and it's opinion, it's a judgment. But if somebody tells me that, Christopher, because you use the language fuck and shit, that you're not intellectual or you're not intelligent, I take personal offense to that because I know I'm intellectual. I know I'm intelligent. And yes, I use those words because that's my vocabulary. That's how I get my message across. And that's how I communicate. That is who I am. It's not for everybody. And if somebody doesn't swear, I don't sit there and tell them, if you don't use curse language, then you're not really expressing your true emotions and you're hiding stuff, right? That's ridiculous. But when you think about being offended, right? How are people getting so offended? Like, how can I get offended if somebody's breastfeeding in public, right? As long as they're not whipping their tit out and like blatantly just like, hey, everybody, look what I'm doing. See, I'm a great mom, you know, but if you're being discreet about it and you're in a restaurant, I mean, that's a natural thing. That is life. That is beautiful. You are giving nutrients and living sustenance to another living being. That is fucking rad. That is beautiful. People who get all offended about that. Why are you offended? What's the big deal? It's a boob. It's a kid eating, right? You know, when you think about the halftime show, yes, there was some racy costumes and there was some sexual innuendos and things of that nature. But what kind of world do we live in right now? A lot of things are based on sex. I mean, shit, last year, who was it? It was the Maroon 5 guy, right? Walking around without his shirt on and tattoos on. I didn't see anybody getting crazy about that. And, you know, the women didn't seem to mind that. But now all of a sudden, people are all up in arms, you know. And granted, yes, I mean, I give props to the costume designer that kept J-Lo's bits in their spot. I mean, I give props to whoever the bikini waxer is. I mean, you could go on and it's funny. But yes, what are the racy aspects of it? Yes. Did I mind watching it with my 3-year-old son? No. Right? But why are we getting offended? What it's doing and what the real reason why I'm doing this show is it's pissing me off because it's creating this more divisiveness nature in our culture, which we do not need, right? My wife and I were talking yesterday. We're walking the dog and it just really pisses me off that I have to explain to my son one day a lot of things about the world and how not great it is versus when I grew up. Right. And there's always been times and problems in our world, right? You can go back to World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, whatever it is. There's always been turmoil and shit going on in the world. But for whatever reason, And I think that reason is there's a platform for it now that everybody can go on and say, oh my God, that offends me, or this offends me. Or, I had somebody on Facebook not too long ago told me something, or she wrote something. She goes, I found something on TV that I found really offensive. And I can't remember exactly how it was, but I simply replied to her post and I said, well, don't look at it. Right. And she came back. She goes, Chris, it wasn't that I was looking at it. It was in the channel guide as I was looking down for things to watch. And I was just really blown away. I'm like, how can you get offended? Why would you take the time and the energy to post that? I mean, I want to offend that person and say, listen, if you are looking for shit to offend you and that offends you, you have bigger and deeper issues in the world. But the reason for this podcast is I want to continue using my platform that I have to open your mind, open your perspective, change your belief patterns, give reason to think about stuff before you react to it. We live in a state right now where everybody's reacting to everything. What happened to taking things in and processing them and actually evaluating them and giving them some strengths and some merits, maybe doing a SWOT analysis. What are the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats? But more deeper, we have to talk about what we can do to change that, right? And what is the deeper why of why it is that we're getting so offended? And I have a couple of thoughts on that. And if anything does come across that kind of bites you a little bit, I really encourage you to say, first of all, why is this bothering me? Why am I taking this personally? Why am I offended? Is this a personal attack on me? Or is this something that is an awareness factor that I need to kind of take a look at and evaluate and maybe make some changes in my life? But everybody right now is so quick to point the finger. It's their problem. It's their problem. That's the reason why this is screwed up. We can't carry guns. That's why there's shootings. Don't even get me started on that. I wasn't going to bring that up because I know I can go on a rant, but people are offended by this and offended by that. I'm offended by stupidity. I'm offended by laziness. I'm offended by arrogance. I'm offended by racist. I'm offended. Those are the things that piss me off. And I can't even say I'm offended, necessarily, but it's the things that piss me off. And that's why I'm here, because I really want to leave as best as I can a world for my son and all the other kids that are growing up right now who are innocent. I want to leave them a world where I've made an impact to potentially change people's opinions and thoughts and ideas about themselves and others so that we can grow together and we can have mutual understanding and respect for each other. So when I think about somebody being offended, for me, it's like, okay, what issue are you not addressing, deep down? You ever heard of the quote, like, what is it? We often hate in others the things that we hate in ourselves. So if we're casting judgment about, oh, that person's so loud and noisy, they're always talking and what is it about us? Is it the fact that maybe we're jealous that we're not outspoken and talking? Are we jealous because we keep everything inside trying to keep the peace? Are we jealous because we don't put ourselves first? What is it? There's a deeper meaning to the stuff that we get offended about and that pisses us off because there's a root. There's a root. It's not the symptom, it's the root. And I think when people sit there and say they get offended, there's a couple of things going on. Number one, it deflects attention, right? I used to tell my mom that my mom was angry all the time because it was a perception of control. As long as I'm the one screaming, as long as I'm the one giving the rules, that I'm the one in charge and I can control everything. So maybe that, people are getting offended. It's like, oh my God, look at this and look at that and look at that. The world's got so many problems. How can I possibly be successful? How can I possibly have great relationships? Everything else is going on and we have to get this stuff cleaned up first. Don't you agree, Madge? Don't you agree, Brian? Don't you agree, Jeff? And we take these offensive things and we go out and we look for other people to jump on board to our bandwagon. And you go back and you have dinner with your family. You say, see, Cynthia and Shirley and Jimmy all think like I do. They found it offensive, So that must mean there's something to that. And then you spend all this fucking time, blah, 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 about shit that supposedly pisses you off. And what are you doing? You're creating a divide in the country. Unless you're one of those people like myself that says, you know what? Let me understand this a little bit better. Let me see if I can look at this from different angles, right? Using the Super Bowl situation as an example, people are all up in arms about, oh, this, that, and raciness and da-da-da-da. What about the fact that it was two great Latino women who were the entertainment for the halftime show? What is it? What about the fact that Shakira did something that was something to her heritage, as far as the thing with her tongue. And now apparently it's a meme everywhere. And trust me, I am not looking for this and I'm not following it, but I have seen it in my Facebook feed and it just fucking blows my mind how people are all up in arms. And some people are like, hey, what about this? These are two Latino women in a male predominantly sports thing. And they were out there doing their thing and proud of their bodies, 50 years old. There's a lot of amazing things to look at this from a positive aspect, right? If I want to sit there and think about something that pisses me off or it can't offend me, is that I wish that performers would actually fucking sing live and actually do their own shit. That's the thing that I don't like about it, because it's like, okay, you're up there lip syncing to your own stuff. Granted, I know that they're over there dancing and doing all these things because I've learned that. And I've talked to people about them. Like, why don't they just sing? And it's like, oh, Chris, if you're running around, you're not even gonna be able to fucking sing. You're going to sound like shit. So it's a show. And so they bridge those things. So for me, I like to go see things where people are actually fucking singing and not using backing tracks and things of that nature. But again, what is it? Why are we getting offended? What is this? Again, we're looking at it and we're saying, oh, those people are doing wrong. It's like we get to place ourselves on this fucking pedestal. Oh, look at all the things that are wrong in this world. And look, and I'm the observer and I'm not the one doing it. And so I live from this fucking mightier than thou, whatever, and especially when people get into religion and stuff like that. Now, I embrace all types of religions. I don't care where you come from, what you subscribe to, as long as you believe in it, as long as it's not going to do anything to threaten my family or threaten my freedom, by all means, go for it, because really all religions are centered around the same stuff. Yeah, you can agree to disagree, but and the thing is, we can look at what we need to do is we need to look at our similarities. So instead of casting judgment on somebody else because they have a different religion and their beliefs or their account of events are different, why not just say, it's pretty fucking cool. We both have a passion for something. We both have a belief in religion and spirituality. We both have this commonality. And how can we become stronger and better? And how can maybe I understand a few things from your religion that might make me a deeper and a bigger person? And maybe I can share a few things with you. As part of this podcast, I'm gonna put up a link. It was something that I found. It's a Heineken commercial, which I thought was fucking fabulous. And it takes people from different walks of life, and you can watch this, but it takes people from different walks of life and literally puts them in the same room with each other. They don't know what's going on. So like you could have somebody that says, I don't understand transgender. I think it's stupid, blah, blah, blah. And then you have a transgender person saying, hey, this is my life. This is where I've come from. And what they do is they stick them in a situation where they're doing an exercise together. And ultimately they get to watch each other's video. And then the point is that they crack open a beer and they talk about it. And that's what I'm trying to get across to everybody in this world, is the fact that you have to seek first to understand, then to be understood. Getting up there and saying that's wrong or that's stupid is really closed-minded and narrow. And, it bugs me that people have that they don't give that opportunity, right? I could look back a couple times in my life where I had a prejudgment or I had an opinion of somebody else. It wasn't that I was offended by them necessarily, but it was just something about them I didn't like. And I held this opinion of them. And I formed this opinion. Oh, they must be like this and they must be like that. And you just kind of take a little bit of snippets and you put together this picture. Well, I'm proud to say that because I am open-minded, once I got to know these two individuals, and it was from two separate times of my life, but I count on them very positively because, again, it was an opportunity for me to go, wow, I totally misunderstood the situation. I totally misread the situation. And now by account that I've learned this, now I'm able to look at potential other situations where I might be judgy or casting opinions or anything else like that. And I can say, you know what, Chris, you had those other two situations where you thought something was this, but it really wasn't. And it enlightened you and it actually grew you and you got to understand things better. Maybe this is another one of those opportunities, right? And I could be easily like, that pisses me off and that's stupid. I'm very opinionated. I'm very passionate. Obviously, you guys know that. But people are just getting on their pulpits and they're just saying, that's bad and this is bad and people should be doing this and nobody should be swearing. And, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Some of the other ones are just fucking stupid, right? So really, when you take a look at something like that, why are you offended? What is it deep down inside of you? Maybe you're offended because you don't have the body. Maybe you don't work out enough. I'm talking about the halftime thing. You got to think there's a deeper meaning why you're doing that. And what benefit are you getting out of it? Really ask yourself, what benefit are you deriving out of going online and saying, oh my God, I just saw this and this was horrible and this was stupid and da, 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 da. Unless you walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, how do you understand where it is that they come from? Right? I tell that people all the time, they'll sit there and they'll make a judgment about somebody. I'm like, if you went through every experience that person went through, if you were raised by the parents and the family that that person was raised around, the politics, whatever it was they were watching on television, the other beliefs and the other opinions of all the other family members combined, wouldn't you be like that person? I was just having that conversation with my wife yesterday, right? And sometimes we get into a little bit of a battle because I'm Mr. Open-mindedness and Mr. Everything else. I'm not saying that she isn't, but the reality is that sometimes we need to be a little bit more open-minded, a little bit more expansive, because there is a root cause to everything. We're more similar than we are different. And when we take that time and that care to do those things, that's when we have those aha moments. And for, like I was saying, with those two people, once I sat down with them, actually over alcohol, I got to know that they were really cool people, and they had a persona in some aspects at work, but outside of work, they were completely different people. And I literally told one of them, I said, you need to be this person at work and you would get a lot more respect. You would get a lot more friendship. You would get a lot more stuff done. But they thought that they had to be in this little bubble. They thought they had to be this type of person at work, the professional groomed, I don't talk about personal things and things of that nature. But when you open yourself up and you let people get to know you, then that's a beautiful fucking thing. And so I told both of these individuals, and actually they told me things about me. One of them said, I thought you were an arrogant asshole or something like that. Because sometimes I do come across arrogant. I'm confident, I'm passionate, I'm outspoken. So yes, I can understand how somebody can have an opinion of me like that. Now, that doesn't make it wrong, right, or anything else. What it does is it tells me that I need to do a better job of how I'm portraying myself sometimes, so that I don't come across as arrogant and that I don't come across as a know-it-all. So it's something for me to take inside, not that I'm going to reflect on everybody else and say, well, you judged stupidly, or you didn't take the time to get to know me. It's a back and forth reciprocal type of relationship that we need to be having. But it caused me to kind of look back at myself and go, okay, what is it that about me that I'm holding an opinion about this person? Was it somebody in my past that was like them that kind of conjured up something that made me mad? Think about that thing. So whatever is offending you, first and foremost, look inside yourself and saying, okay, what is it about me that I may not like? Maybe it's something about somebody who's really close to you that you haven't said anything about, and now you're using this as a way of venting, right? People like to bitch about a lot of other stuff that's outside of their control because they can use it as an excuse to say, oh, see, that's why I'm like this. And that's stupid. You got to fucking stop giving excuses, right? I'm the no excuses coach. So you can't pull that shit off on me. And so why is it that people are doing this? Are we trying to gather people on our own teams? How about instead saying, hey, posting a question saying, hey, yesterday the halftime show was this. What are your thoughts on that? What are the positives and what are some of the negatives? And maybe have a conversation about that instead of getting up there and basically lambasting a bunch of people for what they liked. It's almost that I could come across as being offended because I didn't think anything was wrong. And now you're telling me I'm a bad parent because I let my 3-year-old watch it. My 3-year-old's not going to fucking remember it. And first and foremost, one thing we can do when we have these situations is we have teachable moments, right? If my son was old enough, I could sit there and say, you know what, babe? This is society. This is what we live in today, and this is what sells. However, in our home, we prefer to dress more conservatively, but they're entertainers and they're supposed to get attention and they're supposed to get likes and controversy, and that's why they do it. So if you have something that's pissing you off and you don't want to see somebody breastfeeding in public and you think, I don't want my son to see that, then sit down and have a conversation and say, you know what? Hey, listen, back in the olden days or back when you were a child, I breastfed you. Now things are a little bit more open. They're a little bit more casual. Maybe they don't want to have the baby on breast milk. Maybe she doesn't want to pump. Maybe she can't pump. Maybe, you never know what the backstory is on situations that are going on. Maybe the kid won't drink from a bottle and the kid was just screaming. And so she had to whip out a tit and fucking feed the kid. So what? Guess what? Look the other way, right? That's what I tell people all the time. Man, I'm finding myself getting so offended. I'm like, well, stop looking for things to offend you. I almost think that it becomes like a badge of honor. You could walk in on Monday to work and say, oh my God, did you see so-and-so? Did you hear so-and-so? Oh my God, let's talk about that for 20 minutes. How about taking that 20 minutes and saying, hey, how was your weekend? Is everything okay? How's life? Are you okay in there? Is everything good? Because what happens? We sit there and talk about shit that doesn't mean anything. And the next Monday you walk into work and like, where's Bob? I always talk about Bob about all this shit that doesn't matter. Oh, Bob fucking put a gun to his head because he couldn't take life anymore. But if you had been talking to Bob about his life, maybe other shit wouldn't have happened. And stop being so selfish about your opinion mattering and stop being fucking selfish about being right. You know, I have this thing that I teach in my coaching. It's called, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? We spend our lives thinking that right is great and wrong is bad. Wrong is not bad. Wrong is learning, as long as you learn from that. So if you find that something is incorrect or you misunderstood something, that's an opportunity to say, hey, wow, I'm human. I now have a different way of looking at things. And that's one thing I really pride myself on, is that I'm very open-minded. I don't agree with some things. I don't like some things. I won't look at some things. I won't subscribe to some things, but I will have respect for the fact that if that makes that person happy and it's not infringing upon my freedom, then that's okay. And that's the beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen, is we have freedom. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of expression. Who's to say what is right and what is wrong? You know, what if they sit there and say, okay, you know, we shouldn't be showing people's skin, you know, from the knee up. I mean, think about Elvis Presley. Jesus Christ. The guy was filmed. They couldn't film him from the waist down because they thought it was too provocative. Excuse me. Think about what we see nowadays, right? And it's only going to change. It's only going to become progressively different. I mean, I go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and I've been going to the gym since I was in my early 20s, if not my late teens. And I have seen this fashion styles of what women wear to the gym change. And literally to the point, last week, there was a woman at the gym, and I almost couldn't take my eyes off of her. I mean, she had a great body and everything, but the workout clothes that she was wearing was like, hey, look at me. I'm a slut. And yeah, but by the way, don't look at me. I don't want you to look at my butt. I don't want you to look at the fact that I'm wearing light gray pants and I'm sweating in every obvious spot, right? Not even attempting to cover it up. Do I find that offensive? No, I don't find it offensive, but I find it a little bit degrading to women, and like, just, you know, have some self-respect and just kind of think about what it is that you're putting out there. If you don't want to be considered, you know, an object of a man's desire or anything like that, then stop fucking doing that. You know, it's similar like that. And that's not the show I want to have right now. My simple point is that, okay, why are we getting offended and what can we do? You know, that perceived control and everything else. First and foremost, what you can do, like I said before, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Whatever it might be. If you think transgender people should go to hell because it's not part of the Bible, that's ridiculous. Sit down and talk to them. Find out what's going on. You know, I've told you guys before that I've been doing this deep dive on past life regressions and spirituality and spirit guides and things of that nature. I believe that we could have been different sexes, different colors, different nationalities in previous lives. You know, my past life, I could have been a black woman. In a past life, I could have been a German man. I could have been, you know, there's all different things we could have been, because when you think about it, did you get a checklist of what you could subscribe to be when you were born? You know, do you get to say, oh, I want to be, I mean, I'm thankful I'm a white male. I'm not going to lie. But I don't remember signing any check sheet that says, you know, hey, this is the experience I want to have. But apparently, according to different sources, that's what we did. So we signed up for these particular experiences. We signed up to be a black man. We signed up to be a Hispanic woman. We signed up to have special needs. We signed up for these things, to have these experiences, to learn lessons, to further our spiritual enlightenment. And I know that's a little deep, but this is the path I'm on. And this is how I'm understanding people better and understanding myself better, so that we don't look at things as us and them. We look at things as us and we and together. Because when you have that unity, you have less fighting, you have less divisiveness, you have less anger, you have less stress, you have more harmony. You know, I hear people talk about 9/11 here in the United States. For those of you guys not in the United States, 9/11 was a huge thing, obviously. And a lot of us recall that after 9/11, there seemed to be like this unitedness with all Americans. It almost seemed like people in traffic were nicer and letting you in. There was just this unification, if you will, right? We stopped putting all of our other things in front of us and all the other things that divide us and make us mad and everything. We just kind of came together, and it was just beautiful. And I want to see that happen again. And I know we can make that happen again, but it's going to take people like myself and people like you who get out there and we stop doing this divisiveness crap. We stop doing this I'm offended stuff, and that pisses me off. And we need to do a better job saying, hey, let me understand, you know, where are you coming from? What roads have you been on in your life to make you this way? You know, what does it mean to be stuck in a different sex's body when you know you're not that person? You know, how conflicting, how miserable must that be? You would sit there and say, oh, that's wrong. I personally wouldn't want to have a struggle like that. I personally wouldn't want to say, God, I feel like I'm a female inside, you know, but if I did, at least I would know that there's people out there strong enough to be public about it and to let me know that it's not a bad thing, that I'm not an alien. I'm not fucking wrong for saying, hey, I feel like a woman and I want to present myself as a woman. It makes me happy. Who fucking cares? You don't have to date the person. Your kids don't have to date them. As long as they're good people in their heart, that's what matters. We spend so much time looking at the packaging of everything, but really what is in the inside of it? What is the value that person brings? What's the value of the thing that potentially we're criticizing and judging? What is the value that could bring to our life if we look at it from a different aspect? You know, I sit there and talk about gratitude a lot, because when you sit there and go to a moment where you're going to like, oh, okay, I'm going to vent and I'm going to put this online and this, I'm offended. How about just saying, you know, wow, what am I grateful for? What can I post right now that might make somebody's day better? What can I post that might, you know, enrich everybody else's life? What's a great quote that I like? And why do I like it? Instead of, you know, I stopped going on Facebook for a long time because I got tired of seeing the politics. You know, I have disrespected, I have lost respect for, I will say, a lot of people based on the closed-mindedness and the judgments and the things they say on Facebook. I mean, that's a record for life. And the imprint that it makes just kind of makes me go, huh? And then sometimes I'll engage that person. I'm like, okay, and I've done this before. I gave a friend of mine some shit because he called his album Make America Crazy Again. My friend Ronnie. And he was wearing a Trump shirt, and I don't care for Trump, don't like him. And I gave him some shit. And then lo and behold, all of his friends started just dogpiling on me and coming at me with all sorts of these insults and calling me names. I'm like, all I did was give my friend some shit for a fucking shirt he was wearing. And you're sitting there talking about how stupid I am, how this I am, and how blah, 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 and assuming who my candidate might be. And I was going to write back pretty vicious, like, okay, and exactly this is what my point is. But I didn't. I said, listen, this is the problem with America right now. This is the problem with the world right now, is we're casting judgments and we can't even take fucking humor anymore. You know, you think about comedians. People are getting offended by what comedians are saying. Comedians are making fucking fun of the shit that is stupid, right? Where are we going to be if we tell comedians what they can and can't say? If you don't like a fucking comedian, again, don't listen to them. Don't watch them. It's not for you, right? Jeez. I mean, Lisa Lampanelli, I like crude humor, but Lisa Lampanelli, I can't go there. But I don't sit there and go online like, Lisa Lampanelli should be shut up. Lisa Lampanelli shouldn't be whatever. Don't go to her show. Big fucking deal. You know, watch the comedian you do like. Watch the ones that you do resonate with. It doesn't make it bad if somebody else doesn't like what you like. It doesn't make it bad because they have a different position or a different stance or a different way they grew up. We're all the same. We have more similarities than we do have differences. We're more alike than we are different. I'm going to pound that into your fucking head. And I know you guys are kick-ass because you're watching this, but there may be a few aspects of your personality where you're like, you know what? He's got something there. And that's my point, is that I want to like unlock those little nuggets where we say, hey, you know, what's going on? What can I do to make the world a better place? Another aspect of when people get offended is the fact that, okay, you're offended. You don't think immigrants should be allowed healthcare. So you're going online and you're blah, 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 blah. You're being a fucking keyboard warrior. But what else are you doing? And I've asked this question many times, and I can tell you with certainty, probably about 95% of the people that bitch about something along those lines haven't done anything to change it. I'm like, have you written your congressman? Oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't do anything. All you do is get an automatic email saying, thank you for sending us a complaint. I'm like, do you know that for a fact? Have you tried it? Yeah, I've tried it. Okay, who's your congressman right now? Well, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so when did you try this? Oh, it was 3 or 4 years ago. I'm like, do you remember what the situation was? The long and the short of it was they're full of shit. Get out there, I'm all pissed off and everything's offending me. I'm like, have you gone down to local government? Do you know what the politicians that you're voting for, where they stand on those issues? Because, ladies and gentlemen, you're voting these people into office that are doing these things. But so often we sit there and go, oh, I like him. He's a nice person. Or, oh, he's got a nice looking family. I'll vote for him. But you don't get in the weeds and you don't get in the dirt to figure out what the fuck they stand for. And then you bitch about it. You know, do you go protest? Do you go to rallies? Do you financially contribute to the campaigns that oppose whatever it is that you're against? Do you get active? Do you do something? In other words, are you part of the problem or part of the solution? Ooh, let me just let that one set in for you. Are you part of the problem or part of the solution? Right? If you're just getting on there and just bitching, pissing, and moaning about shit that makes you mad because you want to deflect attention away from your own life, that's fine. Don't include me in it. But if you have something that makes you upset, like recently I heard, I think it was last year, about the sex ed curriculum, like it's changing and they're showing and I haven't investigated this, so don't quote me on any of it. But somebody was trying to get me all mad and hot and bothered about this. Like they're going to show, how to perform oral sex with what's that, saran wrap. They're going to show our kids that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree. That's too young, but at least he'll know what to do, right? At least we're having the conversation, because if we leave it up to the parents, we know how that works. I talk to parents all the time. It's a lot better these days than it was before, but how do you talk to your kid about masturbation? How do you talk to your kid? Oh yeah, I haven't done that yet. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm like, you're just letting your kid fucking figure it out for themselves. Where are they going to go to figure that out? Oh, the internet. Okay. And what kind of information do you think they're going to get? Oh, bad. Where else do you think they're going to go for their information? Oh, friends at school. And what do you think they're going to tell them? Oh, shit. Yeah. And what do you think they're going to do? They're going to follow their friends because they want to be liked. That's what we all do. That's kind of why we do this. We get this bandwagon of people like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to work on Monday and talk to Joyce about the 17 things that pissed me off this weekend. Oh my God. Shut up. Are you part of the problem? Or are you part of the solution? If you're making a difference and you're going out there being an advocate and you're campaigning and you're starting clubs and social groups and things of that nature to make a difference in whatever it is that's pissing you off. For example, if the Super Bowl really did make you that upset, then what are you doing? Are you writing the Super Bowl? Are you writing the NFL? Are you writing the stars? Are you writing their managers? Are you writing the studios that the managers hire these people? Are you trying to be part of the problem or part of the solution? Because complaining about it and getting on your soapbox doesn't do shit. And my point is that we want to have a kick-ass life. We want to have an unstoppable life. My goal is to get you to think differently, to focus differently. That every day you wake up, you make a positive impact in the world. Again, going back to your legacy. What is your legacy? Is your legacy that you're going to find 17 things to bitch about and to deflect attention on your own life and have excuses and all this other crap for why you're not accomplishing your stuff? Well, I can't do anything. The world's just going to hell in a handbasket. It's really not a good time for me. It's like, well, when's it going to be a good time for you? So again, stop deferring the attention and start looking inside, start seeking to understand, to be understood. And what can you impact, right? These are moments in our lives that we can have a deeper understanding for. We can agree to disagree. What kind of conversations are you having? Have you sat there and talked with people you completely disagree with about politics or whatever it might be? Have you actually had a conversation to say, let me really understand where it is that you're coming from, and then repeat back to that person and say, you know what? Listen, if I'm understanding things correctly, this is the way I think you're seeing life, and this is the way I see things. What are some commonalities that we share? We're both very passionate about our position, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it might be, you can have that mutual respect to make sure that you guys are making a difference and doing things positive in the world, as opposed to making the world further divisive and crap. That's the thing. I need you guys to figure it out. The most important, aspect of all of this is, what are you spending your time and your energy on? I think for me, I constantly go back to gratitude whenever I get pissy or anything else. And it's not perfect, but the more times you are in a state of gratitude, you have less time to be upset. You have less time to be angry. You have less time for stress. When you think about the diseases and the autoimmune disorders and the things going on in this world that are impacting you negatively, stress and anger and all that other shit is not helping you. Focusing on what is great in life and the things and the impacts that you can make, that's where your attention needs to be. Are you setting a good example for your kids, right? You can't blame an adult who's grown up in a specific environment their entire life, been told all these beliefs and ideologies. You can't have fault with them if they never had a chance to have another perspective. They never had a chance to have their own opinions and their own thoughts. So why not be that conduit? Why not be that bridge that says, hey, you know what? Listen, I know we don't agree and I know we have really different interests, but let's find out what we do agree on. Let's find out some commonalities that we can make the world a better place for who we are and what we do, right? It pisses me off and it scares me where the world's going and all the judgments and the fears and all the scarcity. I told my wife the other day, I said, if it wasn't for greed and religion, and politics and ego, the world would be a fucking fantastic place. And it really is a fantastic place. But that scares me with everything that's going on. You know, we're going to head back to the fucking days where black people couldn't even drink out of a faucet. You know, those were, I'm offended if a colored person drinks out of a faucet or sits at the same fucking counter. That's where we were just back in the 60s, right? That blows my mind. That was only in the 60s. That sounds like something that should have been from the fucking 12th century, right? We didn't let people sit at a counter or drink from a drinking fountain because of the color of their skin. Shut the fuck up. Stupid. Yeah. So if that offends you, turn the shit off. Don't follow me anymore. Or better yet, send me an email. Let's talk about it. I want to talk to you face to face, actually, though. Because maybe there's something deeply rooted in your psyche that, you know, I don't understand. There's lots of stories and there's lots of ways to look at things. But as the Kick-Ass Nation, as my misfits for life, please focus on what you have an impact on. Focus on gratitude first. Focus on understanding people first. Focus on being a component of the world that's going to make it a better place for my kid and for the rest of the kids, right? Let's look at the generation that we turned things around. We brought people together. Let's turn this generation around where we didn't say, no, climate change doesn't exist. You know, let's look at the facts. Let's really open our minds and our hearts to what's possible and what's different and educate ourselves. So at the very least, at the end of the day, we could say that we no longer hate things or things are stupid. We could say, hey, I don't care for that. That's not up my alley of things that I like, but that if it works for you, then great, go for it, right? Go make yourself happy. I'm going to make myself happy doing these things, and we can agree and live together in this mutual community of trust and understanding. We don't have to like everything we do for each other or about each other, but the point is, are we making the world a better place for who we are and what we're doing? That's my soapbox right now. So I love you guys. Would love to know your thoughts and your comments. Send me an email, send me a private chat. Would love to get to know more of your side of things. What's offending you? And let's talk about that. And if you need help in digging to the deeper issue of what it is that's offending you or causing you this angst, then reach out to me, because I have a phenomenal way of getting to the root of it. It's probably something in your childhood, probably something, it could even be something past life related, you know? Let's talk about that, because I want you to be kick-ass. I want you to wake up every day and have a positive vibe about the world. I don't want you to get up every day and watch the news and sit there and look for shit to be pissed off about. That's ridiculous. That's just going to kill you. It's just going to make your life miserable. It makes the people around you miserable, and it does not add any value to the world. That's what we need to do. All right. Kick-Ass Nation. I love you guys. Peace out. Until next time, stay classy, San Diego.